The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Monday, March 24, 2025, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Friday, March 21, 2025 is read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourn.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions, messages from the Assembly, messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I move to adopt the resolution calendar with the exception of resolutions 558 and 569.
All those in favor of adopting the resolution calendar with the exception of resolutions 558 and 569, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The resolution calendar is adopted. Senator Gianaris.
Let's now begin with resolution 558 by Senator Baskin. Read that resolution's title and recognize Senator Baskin.
Secretary will read.
Resolution 558 by Senator Baskin, commemorating the 100th anniversary of the Buffalo Criterion.
Senator Baskin on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, colleagues, for hearing me out this afternoon as I rise with great pleasure for the 100 years and counting of the Black press has been a force of change, truthfully reporting stories about communities that were often met with indifference by white-owned media or totally ignored. And when I mention this 100 years of Black press, the century-old history of its storytelling, I am proud to say that Buffalo, New York's own Buffalo Criterion newspaper is celebrating a milestone this year as well. For 100 years, the Merriweather family has owned and operated this weekly publication, which informs and supports the community with information spanning the world, our state, and the city of Buffalo. Founded in 1925 by the first Frank E. Merriweather, who was a graduate of Tuskegee Institute, who was forced to get a degree in journalism because at that time, as a Black man, he was not allowed to get a degree without getting a degree or studying in several areas. He would later move to Buffalo, New York, and in 1925 begin the Criterion News. I was honored last week to welcome the Criterion's new owner, Frank E. Merriweather III, his daughter, Khadijah Merriweather, and her son, Naeem Merriweather, who traveled from Buffalo to join us in celebrating Black Press Day. And I want to thank the Merriweather family for shining a light on the role that Black America has played in this country and throughout our city. We are fortunate to have quality, Black-led media outlets that can communicate critical information to residents, educating and enlightening readers and listeners without the threat of censorship or bias. The Buffalo Criterion's 100th birthday is a story indeed worth telling. I want to wish the Buffalo Criterion another 100 years of success. I want to thank the Black Legislative Task Force for leading and celebrating Black Press Day last week, and for us all to remember that telling stories, especially those that are often untold, and uplifting the voice of the silence helps our country and our communities thrive. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Baskin. The question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Senator Gianaris.
Next up, Mr. President, is just previously adopted Resolution 570 by Senator Ramos. Please read that resolution's title and recognize Senator Ramos.
Secretary will read.
Resolution 570 by Senator Ramos, commemorating the 114th anniversary of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire on March 25, 2025.
Senator Ramos on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know many of you already know my story. Both of my parents are formerly undocumented immigrants from Colombia. My father was a printing pressman. My mom was a seamstress. And that makes today's resolution very special to me and to many families like mine. To my family, the history of the Jewish, Italian, and Irish immigrants who came to New York at the start of the 20th century is more than just something in textbooks. It's our story, too. Our city, our state, and this entire country were built by enslaved people, immigrants, and workers. That's a beautiful story in ways, but it's also one with many dark chapters. And one of the most painful parts of that American history came on March 25th, 1911, when a fire raged at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in Manhattan. 146 of the mostly Jewish and Italian immigrants who worked at the factory died that day. Most of them were immigrant women. They were seamstresses just like my mother. Those workers did not have to die. They were trapped in the flames because the doors had been padlocked by anti-union employers. There was no way to put the fire out because water buckets were left empty, and the fire department in New York City at the time didn't have ladders that went all the way up to those floors. The factory owners had claimed their building was fireproof when clearly it wasn't. And worst of all, the owners allowed only one exit. Survivors were haunted for decades by memories of people jumping out of the windows and slamming against the locked doors. Firefighters who showed up to battle the blaze were crying in the streets. But this tragedy wasn't all for nothing. In the wake of this awful fire, unions worked together with the people in this room back then to press for meaningful reforms that help make workplaces safer. It was this legislature that delivered some measure of accountability after the Triangle Shirtwaist fire. Our predecessors knew we had the power to give workers and their families a better life. They showed that when big business wouldn't stand up for the people, we would have to step up and do the right thing. Now, 114 years later, we see so much of what we've won under attack by the current presidential administration. The Trump administration revised rules determining eligibility for overtime pay, excluding approximately 8.2 million workers and resulting in an annual loss of $1.2 billion in earnings. Just earlier this month, the current presidential administration lowered the minimum wage for federal contractors, impacting employees such as janitors and food service workers. Led by Elon Musk, DOGE executed the mass firing of federal employees with nearly 25,000 workers dismissed and later ordered to be rehired following a court ruling. Trump nominated individuals with records of opposing labor protections to key positions. They reduced the number of OSHA inspectors to historic low levels and lessened penalties for companies failing to report violations. President Trump issued executive orders aimed at degrading the rights of federal sector employees and undermining union activities. And in an unprecedented move, he fired National Labor Relations Board member Gwynne Wilcox, the first Black woman to serve on the board, which was seen as an attack on workers and the rule of law. Mr. President, I can go on and on with what the attack on workers looks like today. And I plead to my colleagues that this year and every year, we continue to stand up for workers to make sure that they're protected, that they're bringing home a whole week's pay, and that we're able to rebuild the middle class in this country that is inclusive of every single type of New Yorker that calls this great state home. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ramos. Senator Stavisky on the resolution.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Ramos, for speaking up for the working men and women in our country, as well as our state. One of our former colleagues used to get up every year on this resolution, and since he's no longer here, I want to echo what Senator Surf Maltese used to talk about, because he was a close relative of somebody who perished in that fire. And this continues each year, and I'm glad that we recognize the events of history that have changed our lives in a positive way. So thank you, Mr. President. And I speak for Senator Maltese.
Thank you, Senator Savitsky. Senator Chris Ryan on the resolution.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. You know, it's really important to remember today about the 146, mostly young women that lost their lives, that perished, burned to death. And it's important to know that those tragic deaths weren't in vain. But I think one of the consequences of this fire, if you remember, if you've seen the poster, right, it says a movement born out of fire. And what this tragic event did is it sparked not only a movement of progressive ideas and shaped some political ideologies, but also shaped a lot of impactful and very meaningful standards, such as OSHA. The Triangle Shirtwaist Fire paved the way for OSHA standards, 30-year new labor laws. It's setting a precedent for state and federal reforms. And, you know, we just have to remember that. And now we can't go backwards. We have to continue to maintain those standards, wage standards. As a labor leader, I've always stuck up for labor. I'll always be labor. And we have to remember that tragic events like this have paved the way, and it's mindful that we can't go back. And just remember, going forward, a lot of our rollbacks, Senator Ramos talked about with the NLRB, we just have to maintain our standards of living. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ryan. The resolution was adopted today. Senator Gianaris.
Mr. President, let me remind my colleagues that the resolution process should not be a vehicle to address policy disputes outside the scope of the resolution itself, so let's please keep our comments on the issue that we are honoring and commemorating. Next up is previously adopted Resolution 512 by Senator Murray. Please read that resolution's title and recognize Senator Murray.
Secretary will read.
Resolution 512 by Senator Murray, congratulating Zariel Makia upon the occasion of capturing the 2025 New York State Public High School Athletic Association High School Indoor Track Championship in a 3,000-meter race.
Senator Murray on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm very proud to sponsor this resolution honoring one of the most impressive high school athletes in New York State. Earlier this month, William Floyd High School senior Zariel Makia won her second career indoor state title in the 3,000 meters, setting a new national best time of 9 minutes, 21.73 seconds. Just so we know, 3,000 meters is 1.86 miles, so she ran that in under 10 minutes. That's not all she did that day. After her championship record-setting race in the 3,000 meters, she finished third in the 1,000 meters, just 3 milliseconds shy of second place. She then ran the anchor leg for Suffolk County in the 1,500-meter relay race, which they won in 10 minutes and 2.06 seconds. I'm exhausted just reading this. Zariel has been a state champion throughout her high school career. She won the state cross-country championship in 22 and 24, was cross-country federation champion in 2023 and 2024, and is a 3-time Gatorade Athlete of the Year, 2022 and 2023 for cross-country, and in 2024 for track and field. In addition to all of her athletic achievements, Zariel is also heavily involved in many other school and non-school activities, including the Science Honor Society. After graduation, Zariel is going to continue her track and field career at Brigham Young University, a university in the Sweet 16, I might add. And I would not be surprised at all to hear her name on the podium at the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, or even in 2032. Zariel is an impressive student athlete who is a credit to her family, a credit to her school, her community, the 3rd State Senate District, and all of New York State. We wish her all the best in the future. Congratulations, Zariel.
Thank you, Senator Murray. The resolution was adopted on March 18th. Senator Gianaris.
Mr. President, I have some motions here. Amendments are offered to the following third reading calendar bills by Senator Scarcella-Spanton, Calendar 191, and by Senator Dabo, Calendar 334.
The amendments are received and the bill will retain its place on the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
On behalf of Senator Skoufis, I wish to call up Senate Print 228, recalled from the Assembly, which is now at the desk.
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 166, Senate Print 228 by Senator Skoufis, an act to amend the real property law.
That bill was passed.
The Secretary will call the roll on reconsideration.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White, I-61.
The bill is restored to its place on the third reading calendar.
I offer the following amendments.
The amendments are received.
Mr. President, I should have mentioned earlier, but today's resolution sponsors would like to open them up for co-sponsorship.
The resolutions are open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor on the resolution, please notify the desk. Senator Gianaris.
Please take up the calendar.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 186, Senate Print 2305 by Senator Kruger, an act to amend the civil practice law and rules.
Lay it aside.
Calendar number 200, Senate Print 2555 by Senator Comrie, an act to amend the public authorities law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
I-61.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 217, Senate Print 3198 by Senator Hoyman Siegel, an act in relation to requiring the Division of Housing and Community Renewal to calculate the period of rent reduction.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 217, voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Kanzeri Fitzpatrick, Chan, Galvin, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Martins, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Robinson, Steck, Tedisco, Walzett, Weber, and White. Ayes 39, nays 22.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 296, Senate Print 2437 by Senator Kruger, an act to amend the election law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 296, voted in the negative, Senator Walzett, ayes 16, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 361, Senate Print 2551 by Senator Myrie, an act to amend the penal law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 361, voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Kanzeri Fitzpatrick, Chan, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Martins, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Rhodes, Robinson, Steck, Tedisco, Walzett, Weber, and White. Ayes 41, nays 20.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 416, Senate Print 3632 by Senator Fernandez, an act to amend the mental hygiene law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 180th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 61.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 421, Senate Print 4964 by Senator Bailey, an act to amend the insurance law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 61.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 429, Senate Print 3569 by Senator Clear, enactment of the Public Housing Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Members could indicate their votes again, please. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 429, voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Kenzari Fitzpatrick, Chan, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Martins, Matera, Murray, Oberaka, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Scarcella, Stanton, Steck, Tedisco, Wozik, Weber, and White. Ayes 39, nays 22.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 459, Senate Print 5275 by Senator Bailey, enactment of the Education Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 61.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 461, Senate Print 3571 by Senator Claire, an act in relation to naming a certain state facility after Willie Mae Goody Goodman.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 61.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 462, Senate Print 4775 by Senator C. Ryan, enactment of the Mental Hygiene Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 120th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 61.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 474, Senate Print 3443 by Senator Harkam, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 61.
The bill is passed.
President, I think Senator Fahey wanted to explain her vote on that bill. If we could make the accommodation and give her 2 minutes to do so.
Senator Fahey to explain her vote.
Thank you. I rise today in support of this bill regarding designating March 25th as the National Medal of Honor Day, or as the State Medal of Honor Day, and proud to support this. It's now more important than ever that we honor our veterans, and particularly those who have been Medal of Honor awardees. Just today, we had a press event to honor one of our local legendary Medal of Honor winners, and that is Sergeant Henry Johnson. He served in World War I, and it took almost a century of work, a lot through the efforts of Senator Schumer, actually in the last couple of decades, to honor and right a wrong on when he had not even been given a Purple Heart. We also learned, part of the reason we held that is today we learned that there was a sudden disappearance of the website given the story of Sergeant Henry Johnson because a military base in Louisiana had been named after him in 2021 after the National Defense Authorization Act had brought together a bipartisan effort to rename some of the military bases. Just a brief thing about, a brief background on Sergeant Henry Johnson. In 1918, in World War I, he was awarded this Medal of Honor because of holding off over a dozen German raiding party, and It was rather miraculous in terms of who he helped to save. It was part of the 369 Infantry Regiment. He received France's highest Medal of Honor at that time in 1918 for his bravery, but again, it took almost 100 years for him to be recognized in this country. He was also seriously wounded with 21 injuries, and I just want to make sure that we have it in the record today because there is such a serious concern that there may be an effort underway to erase or downplay his extraordinary heroism at a time when he had to serve in a black military infantry unit referred to as the Harlem Hellfighters. And we want to make sure that there will be no rewriting of history given all the rights that took decades to wrong, and hope that we will see his history continue to be honored. Thank you again.
Senator Fahey to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Scarcella-Spanton to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Harckham, for introducing this bill that ensures New York recognizes this important day. Today, we're recognizing Medal of Honor Day here in New York State, a day to honor the extraordinary bravery and sacrifice of our nation's most decorated heroes. The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award, presented for acts of valor above and beyond the call of duty. As the chair of the Veterans Committee, it is a privilege to be able to speak on this legislation. My husband, who deployed with the 4th ID to Afghanistan, deployed with Captain Flo Groberg, a Medal of Honor recipient and Fort Carson soldier. In 2012, Flo rushed in with his own life to stop a suicide bomber, an act of unimaginable bravery. His story is a reminder that behind every Medal of Honor recipient is a human being with a story that must be told. Today, we honor them all, and I proudly vote aye.
Senator Scarcella-Spanton to be recorded in the affirmative. The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Let's take up the controversial calendar, please.
Secretary will ring the bell. Secretary will read.
Calendar number 186, Senate Print 2305 by Senator Krueger, enactment of civil practice law and rules.
Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
Mr. President, I believe that there's an amendment at the desk. I waive the reading of that amendment and ask that you recognize Senator Canzaneri Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Senator Lanza. Upon review of the amendment and in accordance with Rule 6, Section 4B, I rule it non-germane and out of order at this time.
Accordingly, Mr. President, I appeal the ruling of the chair and ask that you recognize Senator Canzaneri Fitzpatrick to be heard on that appeal.
The appeal has been made, and we recognize Senator Canzaneri Fitzpatrick to be heard.
Thank you, Mr. President. The amendment at the desk is germane to the bill in chief because they both deal with court system and evidentiary procedure. The amendment would repeal the changes to discovery law passed in 2019. We have seen disastrous implications that these so-called criminal justice reforms have made in our communities since these laws have been passed. Bail reform created a revolving door system to our criminal justice system, and discovery reform has placed undue burdens on our district attorneys and prosecutors, and it has created a system where defense attorneys capitalize on technicalities to allow cases to be dismissed. We have had some disastrous, disturbing statistics. Prior to discovery reform was passed in 2019, conviction rates for domestic violence cases was approximately 31%, and today it's down to 6%. What do we tell those victims? That their crime is something that we can't prosecute due to a technicality. The 3 out of 5 domestic violence cases in New York City are dismissed. And overall, there has been a 455% increase in forced dismissals since 2019. While the average New Yorker might be shocked at the increase of criminal charges being dropped and cases being dismissed, members of our conference, law enforcement, and our DAs have raised these concerns. We raised them before this legislation was passed, and we unfortunately cannot get the attention of the legislature to change these rules. It's certainly been a priority that I've discussed, and therefore, Mr. President, I strongly urge that you rule that this amendment is germane and ask for a vote in favor of this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I want to remind the House that the vote is on the procedures of the House and the ruling of the chair. Those in favor of overruling the chair signify by saying aye.
Hands.
A show of hands has been requested and so ordered. Announce the results.
Ayes 22.
The ruling of the chair stands and the bill in chief is before the House. Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Senator Palumbo to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. With respect to the bill in chief, confessions of judgment are used often in private lending. This is something that lawyers use all the time in exchange for not having to sue someone in the event there's a non-payment. So, for example, if someone loans $50,000 for the purposes of an investment, starting a new business, usually the parties will know each other, the lawyers will draft a promissory note and then ultimately have that person sign a confession of judgment, which is good for 3 years. This bill bans every confession of judgment under $5 million. So this deals actually with the little guy. It's completely counterintuitive to what I believe the sponsor's trying to achieve, because now you have the inability for someone to just simply file a confession of judgment and then go after their assets in exchange for that note. The lender isn't going to lend the money. So if I need $50,000 to start my new business to get going that I promised to pay back, I'm just not going to give it to you, because I'm not going to sue you in Supreme Court for a failure to pay, go through thousands and thousands of dollars in legal fees and years of time and expense to get to trial, to finally get the judgment so I can get my money back. So this is a very useful tool. And again, it's a confession of judgment. This is an agreement between the parties. This isn't a judgment that is imposed by somebody. This is a deal that we're injecting ourselves into the middle of it. This is not a very good bill. In fact, it's completely counter to what as I mentioned, I believe the sponsor is trying to achieve. As a result, I'm voting in the negative, and I urge my colleagues to do the same.
Senator Palumbo to be recorded in the negative. Senator Kruger to explain her vote.
Thank you very much. I appreciate my colleague's response on the bill. I have to disagree. This is a law that would make our practices in New York consistent with most states in the country. The concept that a private individual or a small business would go into some kind of deal where then whoever they owed money to could go to a court, get a confession of judgment without even letting me know, giving me an opportunity to have my day in court to say, none of this is valid, is an opportunity for consumers and small businesses to be ripped off by those with larger assets than them and lawyers. And frankly, we should not allow this. This is good consumer protection law that most states are following, and we already changed our law for larger companies a few years ago and out-of-state companies, and we should have the same rights for the consumers and small businesses in our state. And I ask my colleagues to vote yes. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Kruger to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Sanders to explain his vote.
I want to congratulate Senator Kruger for this. The confessions of judgment have been misused, as documented in the Wall Street Journal, I believe, of roughly a year and a half ago, has been terribly misused, and I'm very grateful that she is moving and that we will see some end to this abuse. I proudly join her in this. Thank you, sir.
Senator Sanders to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 186, voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Kanzania Fitzpatrick, Chan, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Martins, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Ralston, Steck, Tedisco, Walzak, Weber, and White. Ayes 39, ayes 22.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Mr. President, is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the
I
desk.
move to adjourn until tomorrow, Wednesday, March 26th at 3 p.m.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Wednesday, March 26 at 3 p.m.